Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Game Day. It's the best, or I guess second best day of the week, because we know Wednesday is the best day of the week. We have a jam-packed show for you guys today. Some incredible guests. I'm going to talk all things college football, of course. Have a nice slate of games today. Got Ohio State versus Penn State, Bama versus Tennessee, Duke versus FSU. A lot of great ones to talk about today. Let's go and introduce this awesome crowd we've got lined up for us. Of course, Mr. Jake Crane from Crane & Company, then TJ Pittinger. Did I say that right?
Perfect.
From Double Fries and Slaw. And then Jason, what's going on, man? How you doing, Bubba?
What's up, man?
I got a lot of apologies for you lined up when we have our segment together. Okay, I gotta eat.
I know you do. Yeah, I can hardly hear you over the sound of Boomer Sooner.
You're just sitting there nice and politely, just waiting to roast me, and I appreciate that. But gentlemen, we'll have you guys back on here shortly. Again, should be an exciting show. We're going to talk Auburn versus Ole Miss, FSU versus Duke, and then, of course, Oklahoma versus UCF, a nice little new Big 12 matchup there. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's hop right into Auburn versus Ole Miss with Mr. Jake Crane. Jake, how we doing, man?
Doing good, man. I'm going to tell you, your waiting room music makes me think back on my whole life. It's like I hear that music and I'm just like, gosh, just think back to decisions I've made throughout my whole life. It's just very it's a very deep waiting room song, which I guess is what it's supposed to be. It makes sense.
I didn't know there was waiting music.
Yeah, it's like dim 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 dim. Oh yeah, whole life. Oh my God, your whole life. It's I don't know, dude. It's 8:30 in the morning and I'm just like, golly, man, I should, maybe I should have gone up to her and said something.
Like you're picturing yourself at the skating rink, kind of just seeing.
Yeah, it's like Lambert Skate Center, 12 years old, just hoping Chrissy Lofke will let me kiss her.
I love it. I haven't even finished my coffee yet, Jake. This is why you go second. I got to get warmed up to get to this. I love it, man. Look, Auburn versus LSU, they disappointed me. I can't seem to catch them. I don't know. Look, 1 week they
look to tell you. I mean, it's everybody's like that Auburn LSU game. It's been a weird series. It's going to be close. I hope people really understand that what happened the previous 20 years has no bearing on what is going to happen. It's year by year. Now, I think there's trends during the season, right, that you need to follow. If there's a team that's playing a certain way during that same year, then yes, but I'll never understand guys that are like, listen, well, you do know that when Auburn plays LSU, during a full moon, after there's been 38,000 ham sandwiches made in the last 6 hours, they're like 9-2 against the spread. Dude, it's about this year's team. Auburn was never going to be able to stop LSU. The question was, would they be able to score enough to turn the game into a track meet, which doesn't favor anybody really right now against LSU, and they weren't able to do it. I mean, this one, covering that -11 is one of the easiest bets on the board. Look, you got to take fandom out of it, regardless of who you root for. When you're analyzing it or you're trying to make money. So I was not surprised at all when LSU shut up 17-0.
It is funny that you mentioned that because the Kentucky-Florida rivalry, there was a lot behind that of we beat you for the last 30 years. And then Kentucky kind of came out and says well, the last 2 years we beat Florida. So that's all that I know. The history thing is definitely more of a fandom thing in the media.
That's to make you feel better, right? You're like, I bet that's last 13 years. So I made the right choice. It's like self-vindicating, right? It's like, oh, I made the right choice.
Look, I wasn't going off of the last 13 years. I was going off of what I didn't think Auburn was going to be. I thought going off the Georgia game, I felt like 11 was going to be reasonable. They just made him look like a child out there. But now they've got Ole Miss. When you and I started the conversation, Auburn goes 8-4. Right now they're 3-3, but you're not panicking because this is exactly how you thought it would go. They won every game that you thought they won to this point and lost every game they lose to this point. Now, this game is a toss-em, right? This is you said one of the Mississippi teams. Mississippi State team, I think, is your pick as of now as we're headed into this part of the season. But this game, do you still feel like it's a toss-up now from what you've seen, or do you feel like this is definitely the Mississippi loss for Auburn this week?
Yeah, because it's at home. Auburn, if you've noticed, obviously, and most teams do this, the great ones, tend to play more even on the road, but typically you never play as good on the road as you do at home. And this Auburn team, and especially Peyton Thorne, the quarterback, is a totally different person at home and on the road, especially in the run game. When you look at it, it's actually quite startling when you look at the home and road splits. But Jordan Hare's a crazy place. Auburn has a huge home field advantage. And, Ole Miss is a team where, and this is a pattern that we've seen from Lane Kiffin every year, there's typically 1 to 2 games where Lane Kiffin's teams do not play well against a team that they are better than. And
Sure.
and they are better than this Auburn team, and it's kind of shaping up a little bit to be one of those games. Now, when you look down to strength and weaknesses and styles, I think one of the biggest things for Ole Miss, because remember, they started off really hot last year, and then that schedule that was very back heavy got heavy, and they started losing a lot of games. But I think Jackson Dart has made one of the biggest jumps from a mistake changing, persona, I guess. He's not throwing the ball straight to every intermediate defender, whether that be linebacker, whether that be a down safety, whether that be a nickel or slot corner, however you want to put it, in pass coverage. He had a problem last year not seeing intermediate defenders. He's not making those same mistakes. Now, when he's making those mistakes, they're down the field, 3rd and long. We're going to throw it deep. If they intercept it, it's almost as good as a punt anyway. So I think he's done a really good job with that. I will say this offensive line isn't as bullyish as I thought they were going to be coming into the year. I think we saw that against Tulane. Obviously, Alabama's front 7 on defense is straight out of Mordor. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and hold that against them. But if they're not able to solidify a run game against Auburn, and they are one-dimensional, I think you will see Auburn bring pressure and maybe cause a couple turnovers. So we'll see. Can this Ole Miss team stay consistent? That's been Lane Kiffin's biggest problem, right? It's consistency. It's keeping it steady.
You got the powder blues on today. I don't know if that was intentional or.
This is my good luck hat. This is my Miami Heat. Not even a huge NBA fan, but every time I put this on, wore it last night. Hit a parlay for $284. Little mixed sports parlay. Went Major League Baseball. SMU, you beautiful. You just beautiful. I just want to just rub your golden hair. Hit that. Had him TTP over 37.5, and then took the game over at 54.5. You drop a 55 piece. I'd tell you, come here.
Jake hasn't showered in 48 hours, boys. He's dialed in and ready to go.
It got weird. It got weird this morning when I woke up and realized what happened.
It's been a long night, boys. But look, so Ole Miss, I think the point spread I felt like was a little disrespectful. I feel like Ole Miss has looked like a really good football team, but I think those attributes you just said, playing at Auburn, and then look, you're right. Ole Miss, the past 13 years, has had a history of choking one away. That Bama game was not a choke one away, I don't believe, but they seem to lose one when they shouldn't lose one. And this is one of those games where they could get caught flat-footed. So I know, getting ahead of the game here, your cranium theorem, you've got Ole Miss money line, but do you still feel good about Auburn today, even though that's going against the parlay?
Look, I think this game is going to come down to 4 points. Either way, either a field goal or 4 points. Either somebody's up 3 and somebody scores a touchdown late to go up 4, or somebody kicks a field goal to win it. I don't think this is going to be some crazy, one team gets out to a huge lead, the other one has to come back, or I think it's going to be a tight game. I'm telling you, man, just the Jordan Hare factor here. This is a huge one for Hugh Freeze too. Now, emotionally, think about where he's been. All right, there's a little bit of, not that matters once the ball's snapped. It helps during prep. What I'm interested to see is the quarterback position, right? That we've heard that Peyton Thorne is going to be the guy early. He tends to play like a hero at home, and then on the road, he's like that goalie from the Mean Green. Every time they dribble the ball to him, they take another form of something he's horrified, whether it's like ninjas or like monsters or something. It's just wild. But I tell you what, man, that Auburn crowd, it's going to be nuts. It's at night. I took Ole Miss money line because I think if they're going to win, they're going to sneak one out. And then if Auburn wins, then, hey, guess what? I'm not hedging my emotions because I do think Ole Miss wins. But you said something earlier. For Auburn to go 8-4, man, like, you're probably going to have to win both of these, right? You're probably going to have to beat Ole Miss, and you're at 3-3 right now. You beat Ole Miss, you beat Mississippi State, that's 5-3. You beat Vanderbilt on the road in New Mexico State, that's 2 more, right? That's 7-3. So where does 8 come from? All right, does it come from playing Bama at home, last game of the year in the Iron Bowl? Who knows what the hell happens with that? Then you go to Arkansas. Right now, we'll see how Arkansas loses to Mississippi State. They may fire Pittman before they get off the field. So we'll see. But having this one at home, man, these are the ones. If you want to hit that 8-win mark, which would be huge for Hugh Freeze, I mean, it's like Chin Pokemon. You have to hobbit.
So look, 8, like you said, 8 looks a little bit harder now. Even though you thought they would be where they're at, I don't think the rest of the division, it looks a little bit stronger probably in some areas than you were also anticipating as well. That Arkansas game is definitely winnable. They can't find their head from their ass currently. That Bama game, I mean, again, the past 13 years has been a doozy. So you never know what you're going to get out of that game. But yeah, I agree. This is definitely a game that has to get things on the right foot. It's a winnable game. And again, the history that Lane Kiffin has, just going on the road and dropping one, this could be those. Jake, we'll have you back on, man, for obviously Ukrainian Theorem. Last week it was blundered. due to South Carolina.
Well, I mean, look, the odds of us
Hey,
hitting a 12-leg parlay. I mean, let's not act like this is shooting a free throw. You know what I'm saying?
well,
But
I'm usually on your team here, but you took South Carolina money line. So I commented. I don't know if you saw, but I said I just put a little evil grin because I was ecstatic.
yeah, I'm sure you weren't super pissed about that. Can we
didn't
get
even
the all
follow it.
lines this week? Or are we going straight up regular? Are we just doing missionary again this week?
We're doing missionary. I can't do the all. I mean, you can do the all.
Look,
lines,
belly
but
to belly's fine. Belly to belly's fine. Whatever.
I can't. I don't have the ability to do the alternate lines. Now I did look what
Then
I did
move,
because I did,
then move.
because I would because I didn't do the parlay because I couldn't. I didn't want to go against your parlay by not picking South Carolina because then I feel like I'm not buying into the cranium theorem and that just messes everything up. So I didn't touch it. So I was an adult last week and did your lock bets. Worked wonderful. Worked wonderfully. Yes. I got a little ballsy and took Oregon money line, which lost them there. But I'm positive. So we're gonna talk about that.
They blew. Yeah, the locks they don't miss, buddy. They don't miss.
I was ecstatic.
Great ones today.
I go, wow, this is what it feels like to be an adult, and this is actually pretty nice. This parlay stuff for
right?
suckers.
Hey, guess what? There's some walking around money.
Yeah, it felt good. We'll talk about that when we get back. When we head back on. I appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Crane there with Auburn football. Obviously, again, a nail biter against Ole Miss today is what he's thinking it's going to be. I don't think that he's wrong with that. Again, Ole Miss has not looked great, especially on the road and in pressure situations. And if there's a game they're going to blunder, this could be it. The SEC West is, and it's not wide open, but there's still an opportunity for Ole Miss to trick through. If Bama were to fall later on in the season, they still got LSU, they still got Auburn. So if I'm Ole Miss, you got to stay focused on here, and you got to get past Auburn. And if you're not Auburn and Hugh Freeze, again, it's personal. You want to make some impacts here, and we'll see how it plays out. This next game, or next person, I'm not happy to talk to. I've got it hasn't been fun here at the household to talk to this man. But he's earned the right to say whatever he has to say. I got to eat crow, and we're gonna get on Mr. Jason here to talk Oklahoma versus UCF.
Hey, I appreciate you having that in your lobby for me. Appreciate it. This is good.
Oh my goodness, he's been waiting to get back on the show to rub it in. I'm punching air, dude. I've hated being so wrong, not just in general, but to you in my entire life. Not only was I wrong about Texas, which I think I could still bounce back. Texas that relationship isn't over because they're going to meet again in the Big 12 championship. So we're going to put that relationship on pause. But we had a separate bet because I took USC to win more games in Oklahoma. And no joke, if I couldn't ride out my bet to the end of the year because that's how this works, I almost paid you when they lost to Notre Dame because that's how pissed off that I was. But I was like, look, I got to take out a loan. Like this is a hefty bet. So let me see if I can just put some money away and I'll just pay them at the end of the year. But it's basically a guaranteed lock.
There you go.
Because look, we're going to talk about it later on. I'm not looking good for USC, but let's talk things Oklahoma, man. Obviously, a big win, a massive win for Dylan Gabriel and your boy Brent over Texas. A phenomenal win. Look, I think they play again. I think it's still a pick 'em, to be honest with you. I think that was a phenomenal football game. But Oklahoma really put everybody on that they're here. We have them in our top 5 on our Sunday show. They impressed me because I had Texas at number 1 up to that point. So you take down that team. I feel like Oklahoma. Again, they were beating teams soundly, but you have to make sure that, hey, is it just those teams suck or is it a fluke? I think Oklahoma proved to be the real deal. Now they got UCF. I thought UCF was going to have a much better season than they're having. They're just getting dragged all over the football field. This 17.5 points, how are you feeling about it?
Oh, I think that they cover that. We don't have to talk that much about UCF. I think with John Rice Plumlee he's supposed to play, but he's hurt. They haven't been good anyway. I think that you come in, they were already short on mostly depth. So, I mean, they're going to get drug around a little bit more today, Shelton. That's no big deal. That being said, the Oklahoma-Texas game, the Red Rivers, it definitely went down as an instant classic, But I think that the main thing that you saw out of Oklahoma was that, yes, we're here, but we're the tougher of the two teams. And you're seeing that they are taking over the personality of Brent Venables. Hard-nosed, they have a lot of lot of talent on the field as in comparison to last year. But on top of that, they're hard-nosed and they just believe in themselves. And that's a difference in what you've seen in the past at Oklahoma. Dylan Gabriel, yeah, he stepped up and shut everybody up. And I think even that was a lot of people in the Oklahoma fan base that he had to shut up too. But he did that. Goes down, has a huge drive in the last 1:15 of the game, caps it off with a touchdown. He's 4 for 4 on the drive. Anybody who thought that he wasn't a clutch player, yeah, well, you should probably be quiet now. And that includes the UCF fans that we were talking about just a few minutes ago. In the end, I think that this is a pretty simple deal. They probably will meet again in the championship game, but there's a couple other teams that they've got an opportunity to freaking get there. And we've seen Texas lose games before, and it turns into a snowball. I could definitely see that happening again. Although talent-wise, there's no two ways around it. They should be meeting again December 2nd at Jerry World in the Big 12 championship game, which is going to be like a Super Bowl. Even Nelly's going to be there playing. Go figure.
It's going to be a big game. I mean, I think the conference championships, honestly, in the last few years, I feel like have been a little more exciting than some of the playoff games we've had, just due to the fact of the rivalry that's already instilled in most of these games. But I think that game's going to be a deciding factor. And yes, Texas does have the ability to blunder one here. I know a lot of people have that Texas Tech game circled at the end of the year. I know your commissioner or your past commissioner has that game circled as well. So
K-State as well, I would think. Iowa State, they got Iowa State on the road at nighttime, and Iowa State, for whatever reason, I guess the betting scandal got them the quarterback they needed.
Yeah. So, I think Texas is gonna be just fine, but Oklahoma has proved something to me that I was not anticipating. They now are showing, like you said, toughness, which they haven't had in the past. Those Lincoln Riley teams do not have them. You see that in USC, and now Brent has brought that to Oklahoma. Again, I feel like Brent kind of lasted at Clemson for probably longer than he should have. So you may have got a little bit of a steal here in Brent Venables. And just he
turned down a couple of jobs. I mean, he turned down the Auburn job at one point. So, he's had the chance to go to K-State. There's been a couple of places he wanted this job. So I think that was what he was waiting on. But I agree, even especially after last year, when everything that people said, that's the other thing is that Coach Venables, along with Dylan Gabriel, shut a lot of people up last weekend.
Yeah.
It's just, or 2 weekends ago now.
Yeah.
But in the end, that was the big thing is that, you go 6-7 in your first season. It wasn't even his team. You know what I mean? He didn't use the portal a ton. He salvaged the class that they had, but it was still a Lincoln Riley football team. They were soft like Lincoln Riley football teams were, and he needed to get his guys in there and get his culture going. He's done that. And I think it's clear who won in the whole coach, coach leaving, coach coming to replace him deal.
Yeah. I think, look, a lot of coaches you're always comparing, right? Who has it better? Florida fans are always looking around saying, should we have gone here? Should we have gone there? Brent Venables year 2, just like Billy Napier, Mario Cristobal, a couple other coaches. Right now, Brent looks like he's thriving. Sonny Dykes from TCU, everyone was excited for him. That was now looks like a one-hit wonder type of situation. What Brent has done, when you see it kind of like turn around in one complete year, you could tell this is something that he is installing, and that, look, Oklahoma is going to be a real legitimate threat. And don't even get started on recruiting. They're absolutely on tear for recruiting. Texas and Oklahoma, man, I was talking about, I was like, the SEC is going to be a hellhole next year. Everyone's going to be beating everybody. It's going to be brutal. Thankfully, we're expanding the playoffs, but boy, it's going to be a tough. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be tough.
It is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
So you're not even, look, Dylan Gabriel going up against his old team. You're not even concerned. This is going to be a bloodbath. Is it at UCF or at Oklahoma?
It is at Oklahoma, and that's the one thing about it that we could talk about. This is that they've been talking smack about Dylan Gabriel since he left. They said there was apparently a coup that was led by him trying to get Coach Lebby to be the head coach there. I do think that this is going to play a lot into it because they've been talking a lot of crap about him, about how he never won the big game. They also said that, a lot of stuff about locker room stuff, that he was trying to get people to not like Gus, and that he didn't come back in time whenever he was hurt before the season, or he broke his collarbone. They said he could have came back. He didn't. So it pissed a lot of people off in Orlando. Now, Jeff Lebby thought he was going to be the head coach, and it got taken from him, given to Gus Malzahn. So there could be a revenge factor there too, that he might just want to run up the freaking score on them, and they, look, they're not great against the run. They're not great against the pass. It sets up to be a long day for the Knights.
Now, I don't know if you saw this, but Cody put this on here. It's his first time ever showing the mid-say wrong. So just, I don't know if you want to screenshot that for you to kind of put up behind you.
Yeah, I'll give it to you there.
Yeah. Hey, nice setup there. We were talking about this before the show started. I mean, your setup looks awesome, man. You're doing a great job. I don't know what you got going on back there, but that's a great helmet, by the way, too. I love what you're doing.
Appreciate the helmet. That is a gift from High Top Sports, man. I so much appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I couldn't do anything with that piece of crap. I obviously know who you're going to take here. It's hard to beat a team twice. There's a question. I didn't see this below, but are you liking Oklahoma against Texas, or do you feel a little more nervous going into that game? I think you had a ton of confidence during this past week. Do you carry that same confidence if they were played again in the Big 12, or would they be a little more?
I do. As much as I know, it's tough to beat a team twice. I get that, and but here's the thing: is when there was a good chess match going on there, and I think that Texas could have won it, but Texas does what Texas does, and they kind of fell apart at times. There were Quinn Ewers throwing interceptions and stuff. They're forcing turnovers on them. I feel like they got a lot of confidence from that, and like Danny Stutzman said during the game or before the game, whenever he was talking to the team, he knew two things. One thing, Oklahoma only fears God. Number two, Texas fears Oklahoma. That's all there is to it. And we believe in Danny Stutzman, and we believe in this team. I think that they can beat them if they play them again. It should be another great game, but I think that overall, the confidence that you get from that, it could carry you all the way through.
So we're going to see Oklahoma late January or early January then.
I hope so. It'd be
Jason,
great.
Pleasure as always. It kills me. And it kills me even more that I think I'm going to be sending you money later. I wish we wouldn't have had it this soon. You know what I mean? I feel like it's over for USC. We have a question for our High Top Table Talk at the end. A little insight for all you guys that are listening. Take notes, but be prepared for that. But it's not looking good for USC and Lincoln. So yeah, I can tell you. I can see you're vibing. You're having a good time. I got to get this guy.
It's not bothering me. It was a good 2 weeks, but good 2 weeks.
All right, well, I appreciate it. I'll see you in a minute.
All right.
That is Jason there with College Football Hall of Fame. Brutal having to admit those words to him. But look, Oklahoma looks really good. I thought they looked good, obviously, before that Texas game. But Oklahoma offensively has looked good historically. So I wasn't, too concerned about that. But defensively, they had that grit in them that Brent brought over from Clemson. They're a real legitimate threat this year. Again, I think playing Texas again is going to be interesting. That probably might be their toughest game that they have on their calendar. That's not on their calendar yet, until we see that matchup for the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll continue to have Jason on as the year goes on, because Oklahoma is going to have a few slip-up games, I guess you can call, that they could drop the ball. So we'll keep an eye on for those games. But let's go ahead and hop into some FSU versus Duke with TJ. We keep clicking the wrong one, Cody. We got to get that guy. He's going to get them demoted for sure. TJ, what's going on, man? You look muted, I think. There you go. How you doing?
It's tough to find good producers these days, man. I'm still looking for one. I know Allie's looking for one. It's tough, bro. It's tough to find a good producer these days, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, yours is trash. I'm familiar with him. He's horrible. Well, TJ, man, I appreciate you coming on here and talking Florida State football. Usually we have a guy, but he decided to go punch some pet some donkeys. Look, I think we had a huge upgrade with having you on versus him anyway. So I'm ecstatic to finally chit chat with you.
Yeah, people taking off days during the college football season is, I don't know, fire that guy too. So I don't know what people are doing.
Unbelievable. It's not like this is surprising, right? Like this has been on the calendar for quite some time here. He's like, it's my kid's birthday. I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow, yesterday. Yeah. I don't know.
9 months, do some math. Don't have kids in the fall.
Yeah, figure it out. Well, I can't really talk too much. My kid was born November 5th. So he was actually born on Florida Tech A&M last year. But his birthday's on Sunday this year, so we're good to go. FSU is rolling right now. Undefeated. Looks great. I had them as, honestly, the number one team in the country after the LSU game. They have dropped down in my category. I don't have them in the top 5. It's not me being a hater. I know people want to think that. I just think they haven't looked like they did week 1. They haven't looked great against teams they should look great against. Syracuse, big win for them. This Duke game, though, I think they can really kind of shut the haters up in a sense, like, hey, are they a legitimate contender by being 14-point favorites in Doak? Now, Riley Patterson, is he playing currently? I know that was kind of up in the air. Do we know?
Yeah, I mean, they say he's a game time decision. I would expect not.
Okay.
I think that's gamesmanship. I mean, we'll see, but he's such an effective runner that it would be really early to get back from a high ankle sprain. So I'm guessing no. I think he'll go through warm-ups. I think he'll be, and then they'll just start the other kid. That's my guess. No inside info, but game time decision. We'll see.
You think they'll pull Cam Rising in Utah then? Just keep it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that if they think he could go, I mean, they will put him out there. I mean, Duke's undefeated in the league right now. So, I don't think Duke goes undefeated. I don't think they win tonight with or without him. But if they could find a way to win this game, they're set up to go to the ACC championship. So, I mean, I think if he can go, he will. I don't think he's ready. I think they're hoping and praying, and it doesn't end up going down like that. So we'll see.
So do you like 14 points whether he plays or doesn't play?
I think so. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is like if he's fully healthy and like never got hurt, then I think 14 would be a lot. But with him being limited, their backup completed 4 passes last week. And so I think it's tough to think that they could score that much, score enough to keep up with Florida State's offense. I know they've got a good defense. I know that they do some things well, but I think I like 14. Now, I mean, so what invariably will happen is Florida State will have a 20-point lead and they'll score late on some scrubs and backdoor cover the thing. But I like 14, especially if he doesn't play.
Okay. And look, FSU's offense has looked exceptional. I think the defense, I mean, you can agree or disagree, has been definitely the weaker part of your team, definitely that cornerback position. Where do you feel that you guys step up today just as a team and really kind of show that, hey, we are legitimate? And it looks like it's going to be an FSU-UNC matchup if this all bodes well for you guys tonight. What do you think is going to be the biggest takeaway for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I want to continue to see the running game develop. I think that Florida State's weapons out at wideout are pretty, pretty unmatched. I mean, they've got some pretty elite talent out there with Keon and Johnny Wilson and some other guys. So I want to see the running game continue to upgrade, continue to get better. Duke's got a good defense, and Florida State ran the ball really, really well the last 2 weeks against bad teams, against Syracuse and Virginia Tech. And so, yes, you're happy that it looked better, but can you do it against a good defense? And if they can, I think they really have a chance to blow it pretty wide open. And if they can get the running game to continue to pick up week after week after week, that's what you need to do down the stretch. You look at the games that are remaining, not just Duke, but I don't think Miami has a particularly great rushing defense. I don't think Pitt does. Florida is pretty hot and cold. I mean, they certainly play better in the swamp, but they're susceptible to the run at times. And so I think getting that running game going, because you know what you can do throwing the ball, but you just don't want to be one-dimensional down the stretch. And so I think that if they can get that going and kind of have that moving, I feel really good. Defense, I think defense has been hot and cold. I think that, they're not great, like, total yardage, but they're really good points per game. And so they play bend, don't break. I don't know how much to take away from a defense that's playing a quarterback that's going to be at like 60% or a backup who completed 4 passes last week. So it's tough to really know how to measure the defense after today. It's kind of one of those situations where you can only be disappointed. I'm probably not going to come away from this saying, oh my goodness, this is the greatest defensive performance ever from FSU, but I could be let down. So it kind of goes one way on defense to me today.
And Trey Benson, I mean, he came out in this from the offseason. I mean, you guys has labeled as one of the top teams with a great running back core. He hasn't been the Trey Benson I think you guys all anticipated. Now, he hasn't really had to due to the fact of how great your wideouts have been. And Keon Coleman has looked exceptional. He hasn't quite had the greatest catch as Ricky Pearsall did, but that's another conversation for another day. Jaheim Bell, I mean, he's came in and I think he's done his job. And like I said, Johnny Wilson, and you guys have a phenomenal wide receiving crew. So again, Trey hasn't had to really be Trey. But I think to continue to move on, to have success in the ACC championship and to be a legitimate contender, Trey's going to have to find his rhythm. And today you feel could be one of those days then, right?
Yeah, I think so. And, what's tough is it's so hard early in the year, especially with who Florida State played. I mean, I think they played 2 top 10 defensive lines, and they just didn't run the ball very well against Louisiana State or against Clemson, and nobody does, to be fair, right? Like LSU has some deficiencies on the back end, but they've done pretty well against the run this year. And then Clemson's got a great defensive line as well. And so, he's picked it up. He's looked a little bit better. 200 yards against Virginia Tech was definitely a positive. 74 yards last week. He just ran the ball less, and they didn't, like you said, they didn't really need him a ton against Q's when they won by 40. So we'll see this week. But yeah, I think if he can continue to pick it up, I mean, he's got 450 yards or so on the year. He's trending ahead of where he was last year. So, I mean, I still like him to go over 1,000. I still think that, he ends up doing some good things against some defenses that could use some help down the stretch. And you also don't have to see Clemson and LSU again. So that's kind of nice. But I think that he could certainly still be 1,000-yard back. He probably needs to take it up a step or two, though, if he wants to be considered one of the elite backs of college football.
Absolutely. And after this Duke game, I mean, Florida State's schedule, you kind of were front heavy with Clemson and LSU early on in the year. And then now Duke, it looks pretty wide open to close out your season. Miami at one point looked a little intimidating. I don't feel like that game has any, pizzazz like it once did. That Florida game obviously is going to be a nail biter, but Florida State looks really good to finish this season. Out of the games that are left, what is, circled on y'all's calendar as like, hey, this is the game that it's going to make or break our season?
Yeah, probably the national championship in Houston. Want to see kind of how that goes. Now I'm just playing. Yeah, I mean, I think it's what you mentioned. It's the rivalry games, and Miami has looked like crap at times, but we'll see. I mean, Vegas hasn't really moved off their -4 for that game against Clemson today, which kind of,
strange,
shocks me a little bit. So, I'm not expecting it, but if Miami could come out and look good against Clemson, then you would certainly be worried about that game with them coming to Duke. Worried might be a little bit strong because I think Florida State's playing a little bit better than Clemson is right now. But yeah, I mean, weird things happen in rivalry games. And so Miami, Florida on the road, what does Florida look like the next four or 5 weeks? I think that they could lose every game going into Florida State and they would still get up for the Florida State game. So I don't really worry about, they might just have quit by then. Like, I don't really worry about that. But I do think that, how does Florida look against some of the better competition that they have to play over the next few weeks to really have a good idea of what that game's going to look like. But yeah, I think the rivalry games are always tough. There's really no reason it should have been a 7-point game last year, against Florida. And, I don't expect Florida State to beat Miami by 40 again, like they did last year. So those two, making sure that you're taking care of business there. And if Florida State plays, their A game against either one of those teams, I mean, I think they win, but if they're off a little bit, Florida, Miami play a little bit better than, some expect, then they could certainly lose either one of them too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Florida game, I mean, me being a fan, probably a little biased, but I think thankfully for Florida's sake, they're going to have a ton of matchups that mimic FSU's offense a little bit with playing the likes of Jaden Daniels, playing the likes of Joe Milton already at Tennessee, a quarterback that has no mobility, because Jordan Travis destroyed Florida on with his feet last year. I feel like if we could have just tackled him, I don't know, twice, Florida could have probably pulled a crazy upset, but it's going to be fun, obviously, playing in the swamp. And I think, like you said, if they do lose out, they'll still get up, but there's definitely a little factor. So I think, that is the benefit for FSU, is that Florida's schedule before you guys is an absolute gauntlet. It's not getting any easier here. But yeah, look, should be a good one here at 7:30 night against Duke. I was more excited for this game at the beginning of the season than I am today, just due to how it's played out. I think for the ACC and for you guys, I think even as much as you like for this to be an easy game, as a fan, you kind of wish it was a little more pumped up than what it's turned out to be.
Sure. Yeah, it's homecoming. I mean, I think if Duke beats Notre Dame, there's a chance they make this game day. I mean, I know Penn State, Ohio State would still be a better matchup, but with Big Noon Kickoff there, it would have maybe given ESPN something to think about, right? 2 undefeated teams in a conference that they own, possibly looking at a top 10 matchup, right? A 10 versus 5. Like, I still don't think it would have been as high as Penn State, Ohio State. So maybe they still go away from it. But yeah, there was a chance for this to be really, really hyped and, winner goes to the ACC championship kind of vibes. Now with Riley Leonard hurt, with them having a loss to Notre Dame, I think it's lost some of its luster. I think Florida State matches up really, really well with Duke as well. And so that's why the spread's so high. That's why there's a little less excitement. But I don't know. Duke's a good team. I mean, I certainly don't think that Florida State's taking it lightly, or maybe as lightly as the fans are. So it could still be a lot of fun, but I'm kind of with you. There was a lot more excitement around it like 3 weeks ago before the last 3 weeks happened.
That I would be shocked if they chose this. If this game was perfectly set up, like you just said, over Ohio State, Penn State. There's just no
crazy
way.
To me, it's more about a money thing. Like, just because they own the conference, like double birds up to the Big Ten and Fox and all that, try and give it more love. That'd be the only reason I could see it. But who knows?
You mean ESPN owning the conference?
Yeah, ESPN owning the ACC, like kind of owning the rights to the ACC, not going
We're
to the
gonna
Big
take care
Ten
of our
thing. Like
boys.
that's where I could see them being petty. Like all this conference realignment, TV contracts, all that stuff. That's where I could see them picking this game. Not because it's a better game by any means.
That's fair. I didn't think about the drama that would ensue if they, because again, that's a tough one to choose. I mean, it's a classic matchup with Penn State and Ohio State, but yeah, the TV rights definitely spice things up. Well, TJ, don't go anywhere, man. We're gonna have you back on for High Top Table Talk, a little around the horn. You haven't been on here yet. You're going up against two veterans in this, so I don't know if you watched Allie throw down with the boys, but she won last week. You got a lot to live up to right now.
I need the support that the chat gives her. So
I don't think you're gonna get it. I mean, you guys are both cute, but I don't know if you got it over her. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, man, we'll see you in a minute. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. TJ with the FSU Noles up against Duke tonight. Again, hoping for an exciting one. I don't think it's going to play out that way. The game is at 7:30, so we'll be watching. We'll know Steve will be watching as well. Hopefully, he'll be home from his birthday party saga, and we'll be able to lock it in and watch that game. But I'm hoping it's a nail biter. And our pick'ems on Wednesday, I chose FSU to cover 14 because it's a win-win if they don't. If Duke somehow upsets it. Actually, no, I think I did pick Duke. I think I did pick Duke to cover 14 because we were all going the right direction. So I'm hoping they can cover the 14 to get it done, but I'm hoping also Duke can make a massive upset being a Gator fan here. But let's hop over to Parlay Corner with Mr. Jake Crane, ladies and gentlemen. How about that?
I'm just loving the music, man.
You know what I mean? You got to keep them it's early in the morning. We want to spice them up. Feels good. Mm-hmm. We got a 14-legger here. Now, just so everybody's aware, the actual 14-legger from Jake has alternative spreads. Mm-hmm. We live in a state that doesn't allow us to have fun and be degenerates. So we use my bookie. So make sure you guys use the code HIGHTOP if you want to, be degenerates with us. So speak to it. I think the Navy, I think one of the games that accidentally put the alternative because I was just rolling. I think the Minnesota Iowa game. I think I accidentally put the alternative. So you got one.
Let's say, what does the Navy one say? I can't read it. Does it say +10 or does it say +16?
+10. It's the Minnesota.
Oh, that's
game.
perfect. That's it. It's actually at 10.5. So right now, Air Force's quarterback's out for the rest of the year. They got a veteran backup, but Air Force's quarterback's out. So Larry, he's a pretty good player. So that's why that's on there. And also the branches of the Army start playing each other, it gets real emotional real quick. But Here we go. Look, it's a 14-legger. All right, if you know anything about betting, okay, this is like taking that long shot right on Fortnite when you're spinning around or whatever y'all do on there. The odds aren't great, but if you hit it, you're set for a long time. And since this doesn't use the alternative lines, like the odds are way higher. So like you get way more money. So here's what we got. All right, Bowling Green money line. Akron's backup quarterback. I just don't believe. Scott Leffler throws in a huge dip the whole game. I do believe in that. Bama money line. At home against Tennessee, I just don't think Tennessee can score touchdowns. They may get in the red zone and kick field goals. They'll be able to run it a little bit, but I don't believe in them being able to score enough. Eventually, Bama's going to break the dam on Tennessee's defense. Nebraska at home against Northwestern. We're not turning the lights off and getting weird. Nebraska's not great, but they're handling business. Florida State money line. Got to take them, right? Even Riley, Leonard playing in the game, not being healthy. Not that anybody's 100%, literally right after you get out of the womb. But if he does play, he's not going to be able to run. Florida State, they've been waiting for a big game. I think they're going to play well. USC at home, don't believe Utah can score enough. I know Utah's been their bugaboo, but the Dark Knight Cam Rising's not playing. # don't believe. Ohio State money line. Should be a hell of a game. I think this Tennessee-Bama game and Penn State-Ohio State game have some similarities in that I don't know if the road team can hit enough explosive plays. Eventually, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to make a play, or Egbuka, who's back this week, or Stover. I just don't know if Penn State can hit enough explosive plays to win that game. Got them money line. Ole Miss money line at Auburn. Who knows on that one, right? Who knows? It's in Jordan Hare, but Auburn's lack of pass rush just scares me. I basically watch every game with my eyes like this. All right, then Missouri at home against South Carolina. It's not Cocktober. Y'all Florida fans know that. What happened last week. Kansas State at home against TCU money line. TCU can't stop anybody. Kansas State, defensively, they're not what they were last year. Offensively, honestly, they're not what they were last year. But I just don't believe in Chandler Morris down the stretch. I think he has a couple numbers late. Give me Miami, +3. That's right. I actually think they beat Clemson. I don't trust Clemson's skill players. I think it's a tight game. But if you could get that 3 in the hook, on the alternate line, I got a +8.5. All right, so I'm covered up in case Clemson scores a touchdown late or something. But on here, they either need to win or lose by 2 or less. Then Illinois +3 at home. Tanner Mordecai broke his hand. Right, the dangerous rabbi there starting at quarterback for Wisconsin. That they've struggled. I've been surprised at how much Luke Fickell and them have struggled this year. Honestly, even in year 1, I love what they did in the transfer portal and bringing over Phil Longo. Talked about Navy. The reason why I got them covering +10. Air Force's starting quarterbacks out for the rest of the year. I still think Air Force wins, but I think it's a tight game. Then those bottom 2, Minnesota, Iowa, under 30.5. If you can get it 31.5, get it 32.5. I mean, why the hell not, right? I can't believe that under's that low, but that game, it's literally going to be like watching ants fight. And then Colorado State and UNLV, 2 high-scoring offenses, over 61.5, a lot of points. If you haven't watched UNLV's offense, all right, it's like a very up-tempo, RPO style, gadgety motions. Their offensive coordinator was a hell of a wide receiver in college. He kind of comes out of that incarnate word style. It's a very fun offense to watch. Barry Odom, I'm telling you right now, he's going to end up getting a big job. What they're doing at UNLV is really impressive. Then Colorado State, they can score. UNLV on defense isn't great, even with Barry Odom being the head coach. So there we go. There it is, the Crane-Thagorean theorem. Let's all hope together, right?
So I told you last week I stayed away from it because you had South Carolina money line. Didn't want to mess up the juju. I'm glad it did mess up the juju though, obviously for personal reasons. But I took the responsible route last week, and I went with your locks. Can I get those? Can we get those so I can be I'm going to be a mature adult again. I look. That was honestly the most fun that I had because I felt like, wow, I'm doing my taxes. I got things in order here. I tied my shoes this morning. I put my pants on.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, I'm an adult now.
Yeah, that's exactly. Listen, I don't want to jinx anything, but I've been hotter than Hansel at the Male Model Awards with these. Here are the locks. Okay, you can parlay these ones or not if you want. USC -6.5. Talking about against Utah. Come here, girl. Come on now. Caleb Williams played bad last week. That offense, Lincoln Riley and them, they're at home. I just don't think Utah can score enough. USC -6.5. Missouri -6.5. South Carolina's a one-trick pony. It's a hell of a trick with Spencer Rattler. But Missouri, while their pass defense isn't great, I believe they show up. I think they're going to score at will against South Carolina. I think they could drop a 40-piece with some nuggies on the side. Then UNLV, Colorado State over 61.5. Take it. I love that bet. Bama, Tennessee under 47.5. All right, I think Bama wins. I think Bama covers. I don't think Tennessee scores more than 17 points. Then Miami +3.5. Love that bet on the alternate line. Then I got Iowa, Minnesota under 32.5. Those are the 6 locks. I posted our locks, leans, and dogs from the show. We each take 2 locks. And we're like 34 and 15, and those are 34 and 16, whatever that even number is when it comes to locks. So, yeah, come hang out. Let's get paid.
This is why I hate gambling on college football because there's so many personal adventures for me. USC, I have been high on them, but I picked them in our Wednesday show. I went against them because they just frustrated me. And now you've completely have flipped my whole entire opinion on it. The only thing I feel good about is the Colorado UNLV game because then you got Bama to go under 40. Is that what it is?
Under 47.5.
What do you like the score to be? Like 25?
27-13, somewhere around there.
All right. That seems reasonable. The Mizzou game, it feels like it should be an automatic just ass whooping. But I can't like South Carolina's gonna get beat again.
South Carolina always does weird stuff, right? Like right when you count them out, that's when Shane Beamer and then like block 2 punts or like
that's what I'm saying.
Figure out something crazy. But man, Missouri, dude. I mean, this team is clicking on all. They beat Kentucky's ass last week without Luther Burden going off. That tells me pretty much all I need to know that Brady, someone cooked here, is feeling it. Like I believe
beat LSU.
Do what?
They should have beat LSU.
Should have beat Kansas State. Should have beat LSU. I don't think they're going to get up and blow another lead too after what happened. And they don't have to face LSU's offense. I mean, good God. All
right. Well, listen, it's my kid's college fun that you're blown away. So if he has an issue.
Well, good. Well, we're off to a good start. Speaking to MIT, you're going to need some change to get him in there. Midgets in training.
Oh my God. All right, Jake. Thanks again, man.
No problem.
Parlay's Corner. Jake Crane with Parlay's Corner. If you guys, I mean, we haven't hit yet, but all it takes is one. We hit one of these out of the 12-week season here. You'll win all your money back and then some. So if you don't play, you can't win. It's like the lottery, right? So make sure you get in there. Again, I admittedly did not play it last week. Too many personal ventures in there, and there's like this unwritten betting rule that you don't want to be rooting secretly against it. So I didn't want to dip my toe into that with the South Carolina money line. I respected his pick. I think he had up until 46 seconds left, he was right. So that's how close these things are. And he felt that it was going to be close, and close it was. Boys and girls, let's get into our last segment of the evening here as we close down the show. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you guys are brand spanking new here. Hope you guys are enjoying this content. And shout out to Cody, the professor, rocking and rolling behind the scenes currently, showing some love with the chat. Also, Jake, I'm going to Allie talk some shit. We're going to get in here in just a minute. Hold on. So I don't know if you saw when you were on your rant about your cranium, but Allie said Jake's happy that she's not there. She was trying to throw you off your game.
I respect it.
There it is.
I respect it. I love it. I love the trash talk. It's 2023. By the way, I went on with Allie earlier this week. Great stuff. Had a great time with her. Talked a bunch of Florida and how they've honestly, it's surprised me. Long way to go though. That's why I caution Gator fans. Long way to go in the season, but so far it's chill Bill. You got to be feeling good.
5.5 was the line in Vegas.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just one more and you're there. It's a close. We're close. All the games left though, like TJ said, they could lose out. So
yeah,
it could
beat Arkansas
quick. That's true. That is true. That game does feel really good, especially being at home. It's our blackout game in Arkansas. Hopefully, not hopefully, but I think like we said, Pittman will be gone by then, and I think that will make that game even more easier. If I had to guess, I don't know. What do I know? All right, boys and girls. Well, TJ, have you seen the show? Have you seen how this works out? Did I explain the rules to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Were you the producer last week throwing some shade? Yes. Can you confirm or deny?
Comment. Yeah, I can't confirm or deny that. So yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. Well, you know the rules. That's all that matters. Allie, she won last week. She's not here because obviously Gators have a bye, so we'll have to bring her back next week for Florida, Georgia. TJ, I'm gonna let you go first. You're gonna no, I'm gonna make Jason go first just because I can't talk shit to him about Texas. I'm gonna put the heat on him first, and then TJ, you'll go second. First order of business is what Harbaugh and Michigan did that serious, or is someone from the inside trying to get him? Because I feel like with the drama that went down with the recruiting scandal, it's like, is somebody trying to bury this man? Because this stuff goes around everywhere, and Harbaugh just seems to keep popping up. And I'm like, I mean, he's winning football games, so who's mad at him? What's happening here? What's your thoughts, Jason?
Is somebody trying to get him? Duh. Otherwise, if they really wanted to stop cheating, or if they're calling this cheating, why won't they just use the the one-way helmet communication? It doesn't make any sense. If you're really worried about that, then you would have where they could just call the play in and you hear it in your ear. If you're the quarterback, you make the call. There wouldn't be a problem at all. Clearly, this is about something more than that. It's got to be about the hamburger scandal and everything else. And you got a bunch of freaking Big Ten people whining and crying about it. So yeah, of course they're out to get him. He was talking shit about him. He's been talking shit about the NCAA. They're out to get him, no doubt.
I love it here. The hamburger scandal is great. TJ, you're up, Bubba.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the NCAA could probably look for something to get every college out there at any time ever. However, why does it continue to be Michigan? And I don't even think the allegations of anything they're doing are really that serious, but can we just clean it up a little bit? I'm not trying to paint Michigan as just the biggest cheaters ever, but look at their schedule, look who they're playing. Is any of this necessary? Why are we cheating against these crappy teams? And these allegations aren't from Penn State or Ohio State games or anything like that. I don't know. I think that coaches try to very much push the envelope when you put a spotlight on yourself, when you invite that criticism, when you invite the NCAA to look at what you're doing. Don't be surprised when you come back and get your hand slapped. Allegations of cheating 2 times in one season. I don't know. When was the last time that you heard that ever? Yeah. Right. I mean, this is I don't want to put it up against the Patriots, but that's the kind of thing you're looking at right now. And so I don't know, just try and clean it up a little bit, Harbaugh. You don't need it at this point in the year, right? Just play the game and win by 30 every week until you play Ohio State.
Good stuff. Well, hell of a callback there to the Patriots there. I was thinking that as well, calling it just Harbaugh gate at this point, because like you said, I mean, what's the
Khaki
last time
gate.
we've had what is it?
Khakis gate.
Khaki gate. Yeah. It's the last time we had this much drama from one coach. And it's just like you said, it doesn't seem like it's that much. And that's honestly horrible on us to think like, hey, like he's cheating, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's like, yeah, because we know that everyone's doing some sort of level of cheating. And it's like, this isn't even that bad. I saw an interview with Keenan Allen that was blatantly admitting that Bama was paying their guys when Keenan Allen was coming into or going to college. He's like, yeah, I showed up and everybody had Chryslers. Like this was back to, yeah, I know, but like he's out here just blatantly saying that. Like if I'm in NCAA, like maybe we should look. Like this is like the third guy to say it. All right, Jake, you're up.
Talk about LSU.
All right, I'm gonna try and condense this. One, everybody does this. We did this when I was in the Sun Belt, especially during the bye week. When you're not playing that week, you send all your coaches to other games. We did this at high levels of high school. The 1 year I coached high school. This is like J. Edgar Hoover's FBI. Find somebody you don't like and then find the crime. And the reason is, I don't think Jim Harbaugh bullied anybody on the infractions committee when they were in 5th grade. I don't think he pulled anybody's pants down during the talent show or stole somebody's girl. I think that they're doing this because Jim Harbaugh has routinely mocked and helped people pile on the laughable institution that is the NCAA. And it's personal. This one seems super duper personal because everybody does this. It's like paying the players, like I just told you. But think about it like this. Jim Harbaugh got in trouble for Burgergate, which apparently wasn't about a cheeseburger. But what did he do? He didn't just sit quietly on the sideline. He let his other coaches, he used it as a PR stunt for the good. He let them be the head coaches. He brought his father to be the head coach during the game. So he openly mocked the NCAA. It led to everybody else openly mock the NCAA. They don't like Jim Harbaugh. This feels like I'm going to beat your ass at recess type personal.
I think Jake's kryptonite is Allie, and she fired him up there with those beginning comments because
look, David Tone, our co-host, played quarterback at Michigan. Like it's at this point, bro. Everybody, why don't you do what Mike Leach does? If this was the case that it was so egregious, then how could anybody ever recover from a coach going from one place to the other that knows the signals when they play each other? How could you ever recover? You change the signals throughout the year. We used to have to do it on defense every 3 weeks. You do it during self-scout. It's an absolute joke. They just don't like Jim.
And I saw plenty of people had opinions on it. It's like, look, if you feel they're taking your signs, one, you need to adjust and beat them.
Use it against them. Mike Leach dropped a play call sheet on the field before the game to trick a team. Like I've watched guys use it against them early in the game, and then they figure it out.
And if you know they're stealing your signs, then change it. Make it an audible in the middle of the play.
Really need to steal Rutgers signs. Yeah, really need to steal old Rutgers signs to get an advantage.
Like it was like 57-7. It's like, yeah, they got our signs. We couldn't shake them.
Tell them to play. You could tell them to play. Like my grandfather used to scream, "Steal second base" as the third base coach.
Beat me. Oh man, good stuff there. He brought the A game on that one. We're gonna start with TJ. You're up now. Has USC been exposed, and is this the beginning of a long skid prepare for a bounce back today? Before you answer the question, though, I do want to pull up the remaining schedule because I just feel like USC could possibly not win another one. I'm not even kidding there. They got Utah today. Then they follow that up with California. So maybe they win that game, but then it's Washington, Oregon, UCLA. This could be the beginning to a atrocious end here for Lincoln Riley and the Trojans. What are your thoughts, Teach?
So I do think they bounce back today, and I think they beat Utah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win going away. I think playing at home matters, and I think they're going to win today and beat Cal, and then I think they'll be right in there with Washington. Again, playing at home is a big deal. Going on the road and winning, tough in college football, in conference. I expect them to play better. I think it's almost like, well, that monkey of can you compete for it all is off their back, and they will play better. I do think that they end up losing to Oregon on the road, and then USC at home against UCLA. I'd like them to win there. I don't think it's going to be some atrocious skid to ruin it, but if they were to lose to Utah today, then it will be. Everything I've just said is completely false, and I don't think they'll lose out because they'll beat Cal. But then I think they're in a lot of trouble. But I think USC bounces back. I think they look better. last week certainly just snowballed. Kalen Williams is not going to look that bad again. Get some of the pressure off of them. Let them reset at home. They do get the big Washington game in Southern Cal. That's a big deal. Give me a bounce back.
Love it. Jake?
Yeah, look, you know what this USC team looks like? It looks like every team I've ever seen with Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch. I mean, at some point, if somebody shows you who they are enough, you got to believe them. USC is going to have an elite offense. Didn't play great last week, obviously, but there's a couple times during the year your offense doesn't play at its highest level. We see this in basketball. We see this in football. We see it in baseball. That's when being a complete team and a balanced team has to be able to save you. USC's problem is they're still so deficient on defense. Not that they have the worst defense in the country. They're just not, they're a below average defense. They don't tackle well in space. And that is one of the reasons why if Lincoln Riley continues this, he is not ever going to win a national championship. You can beat some teams. It'll look good. You're basically the Globetrotters. But when it comes down to winning the games in the end, or maybe the games where your offense isn't shooting their highest percentage, you have to have team balance to help save you. And it just seems like either Alex Grinch has pictures of them, or they did like a promise ring or a blood oath, like they were about to go fight the clown from It, because he won't get rid of this cat. So until USC is able to efficiently stop somebody, they're not going to win the whole thing. It's the same movie over and over again.
You just called USC the Globetrotters. That's incredible.
They are.
That's spot on. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I see Jason reaching for the whiteboard here. This is exciting. Go ahead, Jason.
2 whiteboards. Jake, it's not one of the worst defenses in the country. It's the worst team in the country.
Oh, my.
You have got to know that you should have seen this coming. It is the same
For
thing
sure.
since 2018. The exact same thing. You could watch them. You could have seen it back in the CU game whenever they didn't run the football. There's 3 main reasons why these guys are always going to be this. Poor game management. The CU game, you don't even see Marshawn Lloyd touch the football after it's 41-14. You could have run the clock out. Number 2, the leaky, undisciplined defense. Worst in the country, as we talked about. Oh, and special teams guys. We've talked about that a lot before as well. Number 4, and the final thing, they're soft as baby shit. Soft as baby shit. They have a freaking yoga instructor for their strength and conditioning coach. A yoga instructor for the strength and conditioning coach. They get slower, or they just get smaller and smaller every year and weaker. And this is who they are. This is who they are.
Wow. Not only were they white.
Now let's get in downward dog. Like you do the
can I get it? Hold on. Let me get full screen here, because they weren't just whiteboards and they weren't just scribble. You had actual art. It looked like it was a sign from game day.
Wow.
Look at this.
Look, it's a Warhol.
He even drew Lincoln. And let me see the other one.
Yeah.
No, you colored in USC. That's so great.
I know. Look, he drew a football. He drew the shit. How did you hold on?
You didn't draw that, Jason. You didn't draw
me.
that. Who drew that? No
I
way.
drew
You drew it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
And he didn't know these questions were coming up. I've hinted at it.
I had a feeling.
Wow. Incredible. TJ, you see, it's
like it's
the
some extra
A-game gets
points for
brought
freaking
around.
the artwork.
see.
Dude, come on.
I mean, I gave you a shit ton of points, Jason, but just because you asked, I'll give you 2 more to make it close. But
Rudy in the first round.
well, you had 20 seconds. You went on the clock for 20 seconds. That was on you. I mean, you
Okay.
you had like 40 seconds off. I was like, all right, I guess he's done.
He was
Like, that's
drawing.
fine. Yeah, he was busy getting ready
He's
for round
drawing.
2.
Come on, that's busy. Shit.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, we got a close one here. Jason out of nowhere. He's out of whiteboards though, so we'll see. Let's pull another one out. I don't know. All right, Jake, you're up first. Who is more likely to be upset today? Alabama at home versus Tennessee, or Mizzou against the Cox? Should be a fun one. Jake?
Man, you would think the easy answer would be Alabama here with the way they've played, but I'm going to go Missouri. Not that I'm picking South Carolina to win, but South Carolina always does this with Shane Beamer. We saw him do it last year. Every time they've gotten written off, or hey, let's put him on the raft and push the old person down the river. Thanks for all the memories. They find a way to win a game that they shouldn't. This kind of feels like it could be that. But I don't think Missouri's going to overlook him, because Missouri hasn't been in this spot at 6-1 for so long. It's hard to overlook somebody when you're not used to being the king of the castle. And when it comes to Alabama and Tennessee, I just don't trust Joe Milton to be able to make the routine throws on 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 9 to keep drives going. I don't trust Joe Milton when they get in the red zone and the field shrinks and he's got to put it through a donut when the corners are close to be able to score touchdowns and not kick field goals. I don't care that you hit a golf cart from 90 yards away in the Manning Passing Academy. Be able to throw a slant, be able to throw a hitch, be able to throw a dig. I think they can run the ball against just about anybody, but I don't think they run it well enough to be able to beat Alabama today. So give me South Carolina a better chance than Tennessee.
Jason?
Yeah, it's got to be South Carolina because of the fact that, like you said, hey, Joe Milton's liable to hit somebody and knock their beer out of their hand in the stands. Much more likely than he would be to hit a freaking touchdown pass down the field because he's going to overthrow them. They're just not as good. Spencer Rattler, on the other hand, has come in and he is as bad as they are all over the field. He seems to be lighting it up every week. Now, he is a lot worse on the road as far as percentage is concerned, but I still feel like this is I don't trust in Mizzou. They've skated by, took the thicker kicker beating them, to beat K-State 61-yarder breaks a freaking record. I mean, come on. I don't see it really happening, and in the end, Alabama, come on, man. You just have to expect that they're going to win that one at home, especially after losing last year. First time in 15. I don't see a point. I don't see a way that doesn't go down.
I agree with them not losing again after what happened last year. They don't want to see a rush in the field there at the end. All right, TJ, no whiteboard, no outfit, just 60 seconds in the clock, and you teach. Give it to me.
Yeah, I was looking for something to be able to draw, and I was going to write down that I want to agree with you guys, but then we would all three be wrong because it is Alabama. And here's your hot take of the week. Missouri's a better team than Alabama is right now, and Tennessee is a better team than South Carolina is right now. Now, I understand the rivalry. I understand how this works. I understand that Alabama's name power says that they win every single time, and they're going to be power rated against everybody in the country most weeks. But this is not your regular Alabama team. I don't necessarily have a ton of confidence that Tennessee just goes in there and dominates or anything like that. But if they can keep the game ugly, if they can keep it muddy, Tennessee can absolutely walk away with this. Meanwhile, Shane Beamer needs to be sure that he isn't breaking another foot or toe this weekend on the sideline against Missouri. I have no confidence in him keeping composure. I have no confidence in their team not giving up a 4th and 10 when they absolutely should have got off the field against Florida last week. I think Tennessee's more likely to pull the upset. As Peyton Manning said, they are undefeated in their last 365 days. I think Tennessee has a little bit better chance here, but it is close.
I love TJ mixing it up.
Incredible. TJ, if you were
I love that.
That was great, and I think you nailed it on the head too. It wasn't like you just disagreed to disagree. You had some incredible points. Honestly, your second round blunder was, you had a weak second round, put you too far behind it. You ran out of time.
Rookie move. We'll be back.
Yeah, look. This was a showdown. Jason, phenomenal draw. I think he's upset with his drawing there. I mean, look, Jake brought his A game. This was close. I think everybody. What does it say? Mizzou is what? You're muted, Jason.
Yeah, Mizzou is farts.
Never, ever, ever the favorite. Never.
Favorite. Yeah, you definitely didn't draw those first two. No chance.
Minus 2 points for that drawing.
In about 2 seconds there,
Hey, let's do this. Give Jason something to draw real quick. Let's put him on the buzzer while Jake, you're doing your closing thoughts, and then we'll come back. So what do we want to draw?
I want to see Chief Osceola playing the Spirit midfield primetime matchup with Kirk Herbstreit in the background.
With the fans in the background and the guys from game day on the side.
Yeah.
Can you all right, we'll be like obviously times. Look, he's going at it. All right. We're going to let him go.
TJ, watch it be perfect. Watch it be like an absolute perfect drawing. All right. Now I want to talk to Florida fans for a second. Before this year, we talked about on our show, it's probably going to be rough sledding for Billy for at least a year, 2 years, but you need to be patient with him. He's done unbelievably well so far, surpassed my expectations. I'm sure surpassed a lot of your expectations. There is a lot of season to go, though. So if it starts going off a cliff a little bit, do not lose patience with Billy. I know everybody's excited right now. Looks like you're going to beat the over in the amount of wins total. Who knows against Florida State? And with the confidence you guys are playing, a lot of it is Graham Mertz. I think Graham Mertz is one of the best stories in college football. Watching his tape at Wisconsin, watching him operate, I don't think people were crazy to doubt him coming in the SEC. I think he's made a huge jump an absolute huge jump this year. And when they've needed it, Graham Mertz has come through. So it looks like Florida got the right guy, something we said from the beginning, but it's ahead of schedule and it takes the longest to build the culture. And y'all should be really proud of what Billy's doing right now and the way he's handled the criticism all the way through. He never threw his players under the bus. He never threw the fans under the bus. He's taken it in stride. And this man, I'm just telling you, he can get it done.
I love that. I might give Jake a few extra points.
Wow. Jason, I'm going to be honest, that's not.
That's not bad.
That was the Native American hello that he was showing with his other hand.
True. It was your drawings were impeccable.
It's called celebration.
You blew it on the first round. Imagine you took your full 60 seconds in the first round instead of not worrying about your arts and crafts. You probably would have won.
When I was on here, it was 30 seconds, bro. You've changed the rules too much. I don't know. Whatever.
But when you were out here for Texas, it was 60 seconds. Don't make excuses. Just show up next time. You should have practiced. Guys, hell of a show. This gets more and more fun each week. I appreciate you guys always coming on here and hanging out with us, drawings or not. Jay, go ahead and tell where they can find you, man. And appreciate you always coming on here.
Yeah, it's really easy. Apple Podcast, Spotify, go to YouTube. It's Crain & Company, CRAINN Company. We go live each weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. We have live calls, a live chat. Stays on there forever. We talk everything college football all across the country, NFL, anything you want. We have a good time, and it's kind of old school sports talk. Just keep it about sports.
Love it. TJ, you tweeted Beamer Ball last week, and I had to quote it because it was just too good not to. I said, I don't know if you saw it, but I said, Beamer Ball, these nuts. Go ahead, tell where they can find you, man.
The new Beamer Ball is breaking your foot after being frustrated after a loss. So, yeah, double fries, no slaw everywhere. Big shout out to Guthrie's for the creativity on the name there. Do a lot on YouTube, some other places too, but that's the big one you can find. Yeah,
they do a great job over there at double fries and no slaw. It's all mainly FSU and ACC content. Great stuff. They do a phenomenal job. Producer sucks, but TJ does a good job. Jason, what you got for us, Bubba?
Hey, man, you can find me at CFB-Pod. It's the Hall of Fame college football show with Jason and the coach. You can always find me on Twitter at JW_HOF as well. And shout out to Buc-ee's. Just shout out to Buc-ee's, man.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta love Buc-ee's.
No reason, no reason. Just shout out to Buc-ee's.
Hey, man, I'm trying to get a freaking sponsorship here. Shit.
Shout out to all of the Boomer Sooners that are here following Jason. Appreciate you guys coming in here and showing some love.
The Hall of Fame Mafia. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, the Mafia. Yes, you guys are great. Harlan says lies. I'm the best producer in the game. TJ can confirm nor deny or plead the fifth.
All right, let's wrap up, boys. No, Harlan does a great job. He's also the most fun to give a hard time. So
yeah,
he is.
That sounds like when you're talking about the quarterback that may not be the most athletic. It's like, man, he's tougher than a $2 steak. Man, he's just a tough guy.
Hey, he's good. He means well. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys. Y'all be good. We're going to close it down. You guys can log out if you want, or we can chat afterwards. But okay. See you, Jake. All right, boys and girls. What's up, big guy? You guys be good. Happy Saturday to you. I'm going to head to a little event with Little Man. What is it called? We're going to a pumpkin farm here before college game day gets started. But you guys be good. I love you. Be sure to smash the like button and go give those guys a follow. Jake Crain from Crain & Company, TJ and Jason as well. Great guys. Great show today. Let me know in the comments. Did we get it right on the winner, or did I get it wrong? Usually, you guys give me a hard time about it. I felt like you guys, some votes for Jason, some votes for TJ. Not too many votes for Jake. I don't know why you guys hate Jake so much, but you guys be good. Love you. Stay safe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.